Every creative person dreams of having endless time, total freedom, and unlimited resources. But you know what else lives in that dream world? Half finished projects and existential dread. Meanwhile, a looming deadline and a busted laptop, suddenly you're a genius. This episode is about the creative magic that can happen when things don't go your way and why you might want to build a few constraints into your process on purpose. If you're new here, welcome to Keep the Flow, the podcast that looks under the hood of the creative process. I'm Scott McLemore, a drummer and composer living way up north in Iceland. After 35 years as a professional musician with decades of experience in graphic design and writing, I decided to turn my fascination with creativity into a resource for the creatively inclined. So let's talk about why too much freedom might be killing your creativity. No matter what creative field we're working in, I think the beginning of any project is the hardest. Having endless possibilities is a wonderful thing in theory, but in reality, it's something to overcome. We can't take every possible route. So coming to a fork in the road forces us to choose a direction. But when the fork isn't just a choice between 2, 3, or 4 paths, but 20, 30, or 40, the process of choosing can make you want to go back to bed. And if you're a multidisciplinary creative, those choices increase exponentially. But the good news is that every choice we make reduces the amount of choices available to us. Each decision becomes a constraint that narrows our focus and pushes us forward. Think about it. Some of history's most innovative work came from people working under serious limitations. Shakespeare wrote King Lear while under quarantine during the plague. The Beatles recorded Sgt. Pepper on 4-track recorders, tediously mixing down as they went along. Steven Spielberg's mechanical shark kept breaking down on Jaws, forcing him to suggest the monster's presence without showing it, creating that iconic suspense we all remember. When resources are scarce, we get resourceful. When time is tight, we prioritize ruthlessly. When tools are limited, we find workarounds. I used to think I needed the perfect studio space, the latest equipment, and more time to do my best work. But time and time again, I've proven to myself that I do my best work under some sort of constraints, whether it's finishing compositions in time for an impending studio session or recording a podcast episode in my hotel room while I'm touring. None of these situations felt optimal at the time, but the end result showed me the focus that can happen when we feel that sense of urgency. So how can we harness this power of constraint in our everyday creative practices? First, try time boxing. Give yourself ridiculous deadlines, not just project deadlines, but I mean like, I have 30 minutes to draft this entire concept deadlines. You'll be amazed at how quickly you cut through indecision. Second, limit your tools. Too many options create decision fatigue. Try working with just one font, one brush, one octave, one camera lens, and push it to its limits. Third, create artificial boundaries. Maybe it's this entire project must fit on a single page, or this design can only use 3 colors, or this song can only use 5 notes. For instance, George Saunders purposely limits the kinds of words that he can use depending on what he's writing. What feels like a prison at first often becomes a playground of possibility. In 1970, the industrial designer Dieter Rams created a list of 10 principles of good design. He used it as guidelines for his work at Braun, and the list continues to influence designers today. But the last one, number 10, was good design is as little design as possible, which to me seems like the biggest constraint on his process, and the one that I can most relate to. When I'm composing, I try to think like this. I try to get rid of parts of the music that aren't necessary. I even did this during my last recording session. We had done a couple of takes of this tune, and there were 2 notes in the melody that started to feel unnecessary to me. So I told one of the musicians that they didn't have to play those notes. Suddenly the song opened up and really started to breathe. I was amazed at how just 2 notes could have that much impact. Doing more with less, or less is more, is not a new idea, but I think we need to keep reminding ourselves about it. But these self imposed limitations aren't supposed to make all of our work minimalist. I mean, yes, sometimes that's the best solution, but these constraints are just strategic tools to bypass the paralysis of endless options and tap into a more focused, decisive creative state. We can also lift the constraints once we have our creativity flowing and our path is more defined. We don't have to treat everything like a haiku and stay within the lines. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by the possibilities, don't wish for more freedom. Instead, ask yourself, what constraint could I add that would force me to solve this problem differently? Limitations clarify your choices, but they also help us focus on what's really important. This ties in nicely with the episode I did on the importance of focusing on the creative work instead of our abilities, or lack thereof. You can click on it here. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, keep the flow.